Like many people this year, I very much enjoyed watching the Fallout TV series. Once again, falling in love with the world and the tone of the franchise that I've adored since Fallout 3 in whenever the hell Fallout 3 came out. So naturally, I decided to install and boot up Fallout 4. 5 minutes in, I remembered why I do not care about Fallout 4. Okay, I thought maybe some 3 or New Vegas would do the trick. Well, they didn't, because I've played those games so many times I can practically recite them word for word, which is impressive because there's a lot of words.
I think I knew a woman. Or maybe I was a woman. Ah! It hurts!
That meant I had to think outside of the box. I wanted a decent game that I hadn't played to death, which is when I stumbled upon the Stalker games. I'd heard a lot about them over the years, but because I prefer to wreck my posture and lie down when I play video games, I'd never found much interest in the PC versions. With the console-focused Legends of the Zone trilogy collection though, I finally have the chance to bend my spine while playing what many consider to be the perfect alternative to Fallout. Is that true? Let's look at Shadow of Chernobyl and find out. Just before we do jump into that though, here is something completely unrelated. Not for the first time, the keyboard company AKKO has asked me to talk about a new product. This time, it's the M1 V5 custom mechanical keyboard. I love the last keyboard they sent me, but having used that for barely a year now, it's old and dead to me. Luckily, I love my new Tappy Tap machine even more. Before I even get into the keyboard, I just want to quickly gush about how fantastically this is packaged. Because of some waste of space delivery man, my keyboard was not only delivered to a house nowhere near my own, it was also thrown over a 6-foot fence and left in the pouring rain for at least 2 days. And it is still in perfectly fine condition. There's some damage to the edge of the plastic protection covering, but after being treated like a basketball, I am so surprised it's not much worse. Like always, this is a brilliant option for those that get bored way too quickly with the same aesthetic. Tons of options for different light patterns and the ability to swap out keys keep your paraphernalia feeling visually fresh, so you'll happily keep using it much longer than almost barely a year. Just remember, whichever light pattern you choose says more about your character than any other decision you've ever made in your whole life. For those of you that really want to get the most out of the customization, the keyboard is incredibly fast and easy to take apart thanks to the innovative quick disassembly housing, and along with the VIA support, you can use the open source software to customize the keyboard's lights and functionality to your heart's content. I've also been told it has PET insulation film between the battery and the case, which I thought was to stop your cat's hair from getting into the keyboard, but apparently it's not. It probably means something much more important. If you're looking for a new Tappy Tap machine, you can head over to AKKO now and get a 10% discount with code PLAYIT, and if I find out you haven't done that, I will be using you as a basketball. Anyway, back to whatever the hell I was just talking about. Inspired by the novel Roadside Picnic, development for the original Stalker, then subtitled Oblivion Lost, initially began in 2001. GSC Game World set out to create an ambitious open world set against the backdrop of a fictional second Chernobyl disaster, and the early trailer showcased a unique, immersive, and atmospheric experience with advanced AI, an expansive open world, and dynamic day-night cycles, which a lot of you might remember, for some reason, used to be a huge selling point in a lot of video games. Seemingly, it was that expansive open world that caused GSC the most trouble over the next 6 years. Between creating an engine capable of rendering large environments and managing complex AI behavior, the game's scope was so vast, they had to scale back on several of the features they'd already previously promised. Mainly the seamless open world, which became broken up by loading screens. Despite the resource constraints, after a handful of delays and a title change, Stalker: Shadow of Chernobyl released with quite a few bugs and performance issues, some of which still persist in this recently released remastered version, but it still managed to keep its core atmospheric vision alive. The game starts with a storm that causes a truck full of corpses to spin off the road, and we awaken in said truck to find we have the dreaded amnesia. So far, so basically every RPG ever. Fortunately, some random dude is more than happy to give us a job as a stalker. Stalkers go out into the Zone, a strange area centered around a nuclear power plant, and search for powerful artifacts to sell as profit. Sort of like Fallout's Wasteland, but optional. Kind of prettier too. Before you can say, well, why don't I just leave? You're out and about, killing bandits in return for information about key figures that might help you retrieve your memory. Unlucky for the Stalkers, the second disaster morphed the zone into a surreal landscape filled with dangerous mutants and strange anomalies that don't appreciate being hugged. From the start, GSC focused their sights on crafting a convincing world, and that hard work made the zone feel like more than just a setting. Through heavy lore and a simplistic ecosystem, it becomes the main character of the series in its own right. The devs should be very happy the world building paid off, because the game's narrative is fairly bare bones. After waking up from the truck crash and becoming a stalker, the rest of the game involves hunting down and killing the mysterious Strilok. Along the way, we uncover more about our own identity and grow to understand more about the nature of the zone and its mutated inhabitants. I wouldn't call any of it bad. It's engaging enough to learn more about the irradiated world, but it's clear that the world itself was considered more important than any emotional connection to a single story. I think the devs knew this as well, since a lot of the effort went into how you interact with the world. The main quests are non-linear and can be tackled in whatever order feels best for the player, and aligning yourself with several of the factions that inhabit the zone can drastically affect the story's ending, as well as any available side quests that factions might offer. I wouldn't say those side missions specifically make the first Stalker worth a second playthrough. Most of the game's side quests are either kill a random dude over here or fetch a random item from over there, but like every other mechanic in the game, they do go a long way to adding a sense of consequence and therefore depth to the world. I won't go too much into the quest to avoid spoilers, since I don't want to ruin the fun for anyone planning on giving it a go before Stalker 2's release, but I will finish this first part on Shadow of Chernobyl by saying that its open world design makes exploring and discovering the game's many side quests and secrets a very immersive experience. Just try not to expect too much in terms of scope or variety, and enjoy the nuclear bounty hunter lifestyle for what it's worth. Now, I would like to know what you think Stalker is worth. Did you play the originals on PC? Have you played the remastered versions on console? Are you going to get Stalker 2 when it comes out? I am for sure going to get it because I'm so hyped to see what these devs can do with modern game design and hopefully a bigger budget. Please feel free to share any and all your thoughts down in the comments, and if you want to support us, please do leave a like on the video. For those who want to support us even further, we have a Patreon. We don't lock off any content there. It's just for those who want to go even further with helping us create new content. Thank you again for watching what I think will be part 1 of 3 on the Stalker games, and cheers.